Hi, it's Friday, the 13th of December, and we're here to learn some astrology. We have a full moon on Sunday in Gemini. The sun is in Sagittarius. So I thought we'd have a deep dive into these two zodiac signs to discover what their meaning is right from the ground up. Let's go right down into it. Okay, well, to do that, the first thing we've got to do is understand the position of these two signs relative to all the others, in relation to all the others. A lot of my work is about exploring the depth of the zodiac signs. I think that they're more important than the planets in many ways because they are the psychology which allows us to understand and gives us meaning. So, I am always intrigued with the way that everything has been arranged as far as zodiac signs are concerned, because whichever way you look at them, there is always a progression. There is always a story, a narrative leading on. And it's fascinating. You can look at it this way, you can look at it that way, the other way, and always we have a pattern of growth and a proceeding forward. So, just on the simple, looking at the simple way, it is just simply that it starts with Aries, and then it moves into Taurus and Gemini. Aries is about the burst of life for us coming into existence, and Taurus is about us learning about our bodies. So, we come into existence, and then we find out we have a body as a baby. We flail our arms around and touch things, and we feel touch. And so Taurus is all about that. And then Gemini is the next zodiac sign, and Gemini is all about noticing things and recording them and learning about things and gathering together a whole filing cabinet of memories from which we can draw to make sense of the world around us. We move from there on into Cancer, but that's another story. We can do that one next month. Okay, so at the other end of Gemini, so opposite to Gemini, is Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is one of the more senior signs, if you like. So we got Sagittarius, and it goes Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, and then we're at the end. So it's one of the last four. Um, when we go from the junior sign opposite to the senior sign, if you like, there is always a progression. There's always growth. There's always a road that we're traveling as we're improving or learning something. Now, obviously, we can go from Gemini to Sagittarius, that's junior to the more senior, and so the growth will be whatever it is. I'll talk about that in a moment. But also, the senior sign has something to learn from the junior one as well. There is often a story of them, of the senior sign being born with such and such knowledge, but then has to learn how to get into the detail at the other end. So these patterns are quite incredible. Okay, so so going back to Gemini, the moon in Gemini. Okay, so the moon is the lesser of the two lights in the sky. In fact, it has no light of its own, it reflects the sun's light. And the moon is a feminine or yin planet. It comes with a certain amount of trepidation, some fear. The moon is reticent, shy. It's not a strong fire planet like the sun. The sun in all its glory, when the sun's out in the sky, then nothing else can be seen in the sky except the sun. It just everything revolves around it. Let's just put it as simply as that. And Sagittarius being the final fire sign, the sun is reigning gloriously supreme at this point. The sun and Sagittarius love each other. And so this is the crazy, silly time in the holiday period when everybody's spending too much. And I don't care what I spend, I'm just going to get this, going to get that. I'll have seven of those. And then, of course, we look at with horror at what we've done when the sun moves into Capricorn and go, but anyway, devil may care, Sagittarius. Okay, so I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper, just thinking about the sign of Gemini and then the sign of Sagittarius and the progression from one to the other. So Gemini is all about gaining experience. It's actually a very underconfident sign. The Gemini sign itself, the feeling of Gemini, lacks confidence because it hasn't learned anything. It's curious, but it doesn't know. And in there we have Sagittarius at the other end, which knows everything. So if Gemini is about gaining experience, then Sagittarius is about giving advice, because Sagittarius doesn't need to gain experience. Sagittarius thinks it's got all the experience it needs. And whereas Gemini lacks confidence, Sagittarius has abundant confidence. It knows everything. It has all knowledge and all experience. You don't think so? Ask a Sagittarian. Because I'm telling you, they do know everything. The type of career that people with a lot of Sagittarius in their chart tend to follow is things like philosophy and law, religion, and you can tell from that there is a lot of holier than thou with all of that. So that's the Sagittarian energy for you. So Gemini has knowledge, it gains knowledge, but it gathers bits of knowledge, and it doesn't really know why it's gathered them. It's just intrigued. Now, I always think about a kitten when I think about Gemini, because if you've ever raised a kitten, you'll have noticed that it's all about novelty and the novel, the completely different. They are absorbed by absolutely everything that is different and, as I say, novel. And that actually is Gemini through and through. It just gathers separate facts and looks at different things and is absorbed by, oh, this and oh, that, but always on a superficial level. Nothing is done very deeply. Nothing is understood, by the way. There's no understanding with Gemini. It doesn't take this information and make it into something else. It just takes the information. So at the other end, Sagittarius acts as if it has all of that information, acts as if it knows that all that information, whether or not it does. It just looks superior and pontificates and gives advice, and everybody just follows it, really. It's all about belief at that point. So Gemini collects and learns. And from the collecting and learning, the journey to Sagittarius is forming confidence and philosophizing, gaining experience with law, religion, as I said. In Gemini, we've got a very immature sign, which is gathering opinions, but is immature, can't really, pontificate on them. Sagittarius is all about formed opinions. They have been formed, and that's it. Sagittarius knows everything, as I say. Okay, so just going on a little bit about this. So at this time of the year, we always get moons in the junior signs because the sun is in the later signs. So the sun is in Scorpio, and then the moon is in Taurus. The sun moves into Sagittarius. The full moon is in Gemini. The sun moves into Capricorn. The full moon is in Cancer. And this is the way it happens every single year. Well, what do I think about this particular full moon in Gemini, the one we've got on Sunday, the 15th? I think, like every year, this is all about fun and excitement. You could say that it's a time when the sun is in Sagittarius, a fire sign, and is therefore at its height, at its most expansive, at its most proud and most show-offiness. And yeah, that's just about it, really. So we could come across people that know everything, and that could be quite pompous. There's Gemini huddled with the moon, and honestly, there isn't going to be anything coming from that end, because it's all a bit underconfident and shy. So yes, Sagittarius rules, and in which case it is all about the silly season. I'm always saying this, but it is about the office parties. It is about spending too much money. It is about acting with authority whilst at the same time being prepared to be completely silly and stupid and be the first on the karaoke. So that kind of thing. Right. Well, I do hope that was useful. And it's been fun to talk to you. And I shall see you next week, I hope. Let's oh yes, that's right. Do this thing. Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.